Pick your head up. Stop playing around. Silence. Praise and steaming out to the Most High Yahuwah, name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Pick us up, John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures. And then you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Allah in you. On Allah's name you receive me not, but another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that comes from Allah only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote in me. If you believe, how should you believe my words? Proverbs chapter 15, verse 31. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 31. This is what we call this is what they call in wrestling a bridge championship, a transitional championship, I should say. This is something just to bide our time till we get to the meat and potatoes of what you are willing desire to deal with. Continuation of verse 5 that we dealt with last Shabbat. Pick your head up. Get your hands out your face. So Proverbs 15 and 31. The ear that hears the reproof, the reproof of life abide among the wise. So of course here is Shema. So I want to take you back some. I just want you to come over here to the book of Revelation. From the book of Revelation. This would be like chapter 3, I believe. Matthew 22. From Matthew 22 to Romans chapter 10. I want you to come to Revelation chapter 3. I'll pick it up in verse 14 I've been in some hot locations this afternoon. Sapped all the strength about it. Because of those of you who are here in the city, you already know it's hot at 50 degrees. And unto the Malachim of the synagogue of the notions right. These things say after amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of Elohim. I know your works, and you are neither cold nor hot, or I would you were cold nor hot, I will spew you out of my mouth. Because you say I am rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing, and know not that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and I counsel you to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that you may be rich, and white raiment, and you may be clothed, and that the shame of your nakedness do not appear. Anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Keep that in mind with chastening. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcome will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and sat down with my Abba in his throne. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the synagogues. Now, we've talked about that before. What does that mean about he that have an ear, let him hear? Now, there's a couple other places that I didn't sprinkle in that we're going to have to sprinkle in. And this is just to rehash. What does this mean? Because it says the ear that hear reproof. So when you're looking at reproof, the hear, you're looking at Shema, which is faith. Those that believe are going to hear. Now, of course, we're going to deal with something. Just a couple of conversations I had with my homeboy because he didn't have an understanding, but Yahuwah saw fit to give an understanding. But something just came to my mind. I need to recall what it was as I was speaking. Oh, yes. Isaiah, the 55th chapter. Isaiah, the 55th chapter. We'll have a little interlude from what I mentioned. We'll go to Isaiah 55, and it was something else. And I can't, Matthew 22. So just hold that. But Isaiah chapter 55, I want you to come and look at verse 6. Matter of fact, I want you to look at verse 3. I want you to go to Isaiah 55 and 3. I want you to look at and understand what he says. We've read the verse numerous times over the years, numerous times. But right now, in regards to what we're talking about, I need you to look at it and focus. Now, I want you to look at it. That word for incline is natah. And I want you to think about that, how that's noon, tet, and hey, and that's to stretch out, to turn, to incline, or to influence. So listen to what it says. Isaiah 55:3. Incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live. So you hear again. So you know it's Shema. He say, hear, and your soul will live. This takes us also to what we the lead verse in verse 31. Hear the reproof of life, because it's the shortened version of life. So yeah, man. I mean, this is not the time. You're gonna have to text me that. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's relative and what we discussed. You're gonna have to list a parable, and if it's relative, we can do so. And if it's not, just call me later. So listen what he tell you. Hear, and your soul shall live. So you have to believe. The only way that you're going to be able to live is if you believe. See, all this other stuff that the people be talking about, try to spin it, screen it, whatever the case may be. Let's look at it again. Incline your ear and come unto me, Shema, and your nephash shall kaya. Because that's what it says there, is kaya. Now you're going to sit back and we're going to among the wise, because that life is ka, shortened version of kaya, ka and yad. You got kaya, you add a hey. So you sit back and see, as Mashiach stated in the 26th chapter of the book of Acts and about the 18th verse. So when we look at this, the only way that you can be able to live is that you have to believe. Let's continue. Incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you. Even the sure mercies of David. Marquise, you could put the parable you're referring to right here, and that can be determined if it's going to be able to be worked in now, or if you have to call me later. Behold, I've given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. You just read in Revelation 3 where he say he the true witness. So this witness is whom you have to believe. And this takes us back to how he followed his father's instructions. And according to Isaiah chapter 9, he's your father, and you ought to follow his instructions. Because if you believe him, then you would hearken to his reproof, and you would hearken to his instructions. See, this is not in the regards of just focusing on keeping the laws, because we know from looking at certain kings that there were kings who kept the laws, but they didn't do it with a perfect heart. Their faith wasn't pure. So when your faith is not pure, because see, I had a brief conversation with a brother yesterday, and he was like, he made the comment, can someone who receives the Ruach, I mean, that's not a parable. That's not a parable that he just said in Revelation 3. He's telling you that he overcame the world. He ascended to the right hand of the Father. And if you overcome, then you'll be set down at the right hand of him as he sat down at the right hand of his Father. He's making a promise of a reward. That's one of the promises for overcoming. So that's not a parable. That's not a dark saying. He's being plain with that. He's telling you straight up and down, if, like he told them in John 16:33, give good cheer, for I've overcome the world. That if you overcome, because you believe that Yahushua is the son of Elohim, then you'll be set down in his throne the same way that he sat down in his father's throne. That's his promise to you. You can bank on that. That's something that we've looked at in the past of those things that he promised to them that overcome. But that's a promise. That's not a parable, young man. That's a promise. You overcome, there's a throne prepared for you, right in the throne of Mashiach. And you can take that home with you. You know what I'm saying? You can put all your money on that. You're not going to lose it. That's guaranteed. Verse 5, Isaiah 55. Behold, you shall call a nation that you know not, and nations that knew not you shall run unto you because of Yahuwah your Elohim, and for the Kadash one of Yasharal, for he have esteemed you. Seek ye Yahuwah while he may be found, call you upon him while he is near. See, that's what a lot of people don't realize. Notice he said, seek Yahuwah when he can't be found. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's no big deal. It's no pressure. You know, you thought it was a parable. It's okay. But no, he's being plain. That's a promise. That's a promise. Yeah, that's a promise. He promised you that. When you look at those things that Marquise and Revelation, when he say to him that overcome, those are promises. Every time you read him say that in the first 3 chapters, those are promises. Those are rewards to those who overcome the world. That's a reward for an overcomer. Whether it's not having your name blotted out the book, whether it's being a pillar, city of his Elohim, New Jerusalem, which come down from Shamahim, whether it's having right to the tree of life, to dwell in the midst of the paradise of Elohim, whether it be the hidden manna and a name written in stone, which no man know except he who gave it. All those are promises of those who overcome. So that's all you need to remember when you read those things from Revelation 1 to Revelation 3. We're going to be looking at y'all really by the time we get finished. That's why I say go and put it up there because it could be relevant. Right now, then you just call me later. You know, it's no big deal. Easy fix. Verse 7. He says, let the wicked forsake his way and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And let him return unto Yahuwah, and he will have mercy upon him and to our Elohim, for he will abundantly pardon. Now listen to what he about to tell you. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Yahuwah. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain come down and the snow from heaven, and return not hither, but water the earth and make it bring forth bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So shall my word be that go forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish in that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent unto it. Now let's take a step back. Because something just came to my mind. I don't think we went through this here. Look at verse 10. It says, for as the rain come down and snow from heaven, and return not hither, but water the earth and make it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. Now let's sit there and think about that. I want you to just pause and think on that for a moment. That it gives seed to the sower and bread to the eater. He said that's the same thing that his word is going to do. It's the same way that water comes from heaven and water the earth so that it bring forth and bud to give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. His word is going to go out of his mouth and it's going to accomplish what he sent for it to do. You know what I'm saying? Just like Paul wrote in Romans chapter 3, just because you don't believe, don't make the faith of Elohim of none effect. See, that's what y'all got to understand. Just because a nigga don't believe the word, don't change the fact that Yahuwah's word is true. You can't get caught up because a nigga, you think because a nigga say, I don't believe that, or this ain't true, that has any bearing or factor on anything. Who cares? That's the attitude that you have to have. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they believe it or not. It don't change the fact that Yahuwah is the living Elohim. It does not change the fact that Yahushua is the son of the living Elohim, and that he died and he rose on the 3rd day for the remission of sins and for the giving of the Ruach HaKadosh. And all those who do not submit to his will shall surely perish, and the lake where the worm bites not, and the fire shall not be quenched, to be tormented forever and ever in the presence of the Lamb and the Kadosh Malachim. And it is what it is. They don't have to believe it. If they want to believe in a rock and believe in Allah, that's their business. If they want to say that they God, then that's their business. If they want to say they're a goddess, well, that's their business. But see, you're going to die. Because Yahuwah said in Deuteronomy 32 that he raised his right hand to heaven and swear to heaven that he lived forever. Now you find you a nigga out here who say he a God and that he can live forever. Find you somebody who say they're a goddess and ask them, do they have the power to live forever? Therefore, their speech means since the 80s, since the 70s, since the 60s. Shalom, man. That junk don't mean nothing, man. Because they don't have any power to live. See, the one thing, that's why I say his thoughts are not your thoughts and his ways are not your ways. See, what we try to do is, see, we try to make Yahuwah out to be a God in our own image versus that we were made in his image. See, that's the disconnect. See, that's the wickedness. Because see, we want God to look how we want God to look. See, we want God to behave how we want him to behave. So we want to craft him in our image. It ain't over. Yahuwah is the one and only living Elohim, who is only worthy of praise, esteem, and honor, from whom all receive life. Matter of fact, let me read you that Acts 17 real fast on what I'm talking about. Then we get this John chapter 8, and then swing over here to this Matthew 22. I thank Yahuwah for the word. That's what I do. Some people might not like it. Some people may. Who cares? Let's be the saints and all those who fear Yahuwah. And everybody who don't, may Yahuwah have mercy upon your soul if he see fit to turn you from opposing you. Because at the end of the day, you ain't hurting Yahuwah, you're hurting yourself. If a nigga come tell me, I don't believe that Bible you follow, why that hurt me? That don't bother me. You gotta ask yourself why you hurt because somebody said they don't believe in Yahuwah. How that injures you? Why does that bother you? That's personal business. You the one got to answer to him. Acts 17 and 25. Make it 24. Elohim that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is the Lord of heaven and earth and dwells not in temples made with hands. Neither is he worshipped with men's hands as though he needed anything. Seeing he give to all life and breath and all things. Let's read that again. Neither he needed things. Everybody, ain't nobody got no regard. We just read that in Ecclesiastes probably a couple weeks ago. You ain't got no power in the war against death to discharge that thereof. What power you got? Tell me, you find you a man who done found a way to live forever. Find you a man who found a way to beat the curse of Adam. I only know of one. And blessed be Yahushua HaMashiach forever. Amen. I only know of one. That's the only one I know. But nevertheless, John chapter 8. True story. That would definitely be an accurate assessment that your faith wasn't there to begin with. If you are offended or affected by the fact that make that John 8 and 42. If someone didn't believe. And that could be that to a certain extent. Also, so a lot of times people just feel like why you don't believe this, and they get so frustrated because they feel like people should believe. And a lot of us feel like it's our duty to make people believe. And it's not. It's just simply not. There's nothing you can do about it. Because Yahuwah gives the hearing ear. Yes, Yahuwah gives the hearing ear and the believing heart. And if he didn't give you one, it's because it wasn't for you. That's a common misconception. Yes, Yahuwah's will is that desire is that all men come to salvation and none that perish. At the same time, there are vessels made unto honor and there's vessels made unto dishonor. It is what it is. How, just like Paul stated, how can the clay look to the potter and say, why you made me this way? Because he wanted to, nigga. Because he wanted to. He can do what he wanted to. That's the first thing that you have to realize. Because again, y'all, why would he do this? Don't matter why would he do it. In your pride and in your vanity of your own mind to think you equal to Yahuwah. Are we to be made equal to Allah? Absolutely. Equal in stature. Meaning equal in his kadashness and his righteousness and the ability to live forever through the gift of the Ruach HaKadosh which he has given. But you're not equal to Yahuwah. And that's your pride that make you want to feel equal to Yahuwah because you don't like his ways. So when his reproof comes, you can't hear. You abide and you pretend like you hear. Like we've been talking about in Ezekiel. You come and you hear his words, but you won't do them because your heart go after your desire. Praise the Lord. His word ain't never came back for it. It's going to do what he sent it to do. He said Pharaoh's heart was going to be hard, and hard it was. He said Judas was born for the purpose of betraying the Lord, and betrayed him he did. That word ain't come back for it. You better know that. Yahuwah said, let it rain for 40 days and 40 nights, and the earth was flooded. Yahuwah said, my son will rise on the third day, and up he got. Yahuwah said, the blind will see, and the deaf will hear, and the mute will speak. And guess what? He said, I'll send you into a land which is not yours, that you may serve strangers. And guess what you've been doing? And the same way how he said he will build up that desolate place and put a crown on him, that's exactly what he gonna do. And just because somebody don't believe it, don't mean that he ain't gonna do it. John chapter 8, verse 42. For I proceed forth and come from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, he father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. See, that's what you got to understand. He said, why you can't understand my speech? Because you can't hear my word. Why you can't? Remember in Proverbs chapter 8, he said, my words are plain to him that have understanding. You better let it be known. You better let it be known. This word ain't for everybody. And he just told you that. He said, you can't understand my speech and you can't hear my word because you hear the words of your father. See, you hear the words of lust, desire, steal, kill, murder, idolatry, pride, vanity. That's what you hear. That's what you hear. You hear the world because that's what you were part of. And that's you who is discretion. Let me tell y'all something. If you find yourself questioning yourself, why would Yahuwah choose me? Why would he allow me to try to convince you that you're unworthy of salvation? Don't be concerned why Yahuwah chose you to hear. Just thank the Lord that he did. See, that's your first mistake. Because you already know you're not worthy. So don't waste time trying to figure out why. It ain't none of your business why. Because you could be like Dwayne Wade's son, confused. Come home Zion one day, come back and talk about your name Tyre, and you want to be called a girl. That's what you could be. See, that's the extreme situation. You know what I'm talking about? But that's what can happen. You could be the nigga in the room late night looking at Pornhub doing ungodly things to himself. You could be the donkey on the corner. You could be the drunk. You know, son, I heard a brother say, I'll probably reiterate it later on in the week. It was David Banner who said this, matter of fact. He made a strong point. And y'all will, I ain't sat down and went through the script yet. About 3, 4, 5 scripts came to my head at the time when he said it. But he said something that Jay-Z told him. He said, you drink to celebrate. Because he said at that time, they were getting drunk all the time. And he was like, Jay told him, you drink to celebrate. This ain't about Jay-Z, it ain't about David Banner. This is what clicked in my head. When you read that script and you talk about them drinking wine, they only drunk to celebrate. You know what I'm talking about? When you literally look at the script and you pay attention to what's in there, it was for a celebration. It wasn't just to sit around and get drunk. That's why he say you can't be no drunk. So you got to nigga, he pop a bottle anytime it's a time to pop a bottle. So you's a donkey and a drunkard. Yahuwah can't do nothing with you because you ain't in your right mind. What you celebrating? You ain't celebrating nothing. You got a problem. You got a chemical dependency. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's what people's problem is. You got a chemical dependency. See, you can't feel happy or function unless you put something outside of your body to alter your mental state. That's why you got to take the weed, drink the liquor, snort the heroin, snort the coke, pop the molly, all that other type of stuff. When you look in the text, anytime somebody had some wine, it was celebratory. When David gave out a flagon of wine and a piece of flesh, it was celebratory. When you look at the wedding feast, when he turned water into wine, it was celebratory. When you read that parable in Judges chapter 9, that was celebratory. Just wasn't drinking wine to drink wine. That's what they love to say. Man, he ain't got no infirmities. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with you. That be a nigga cap. I smoked the weed because I got cataract. Ain't nothing wrong with you, you lying bastard, you. Nothing wrong with you. You ain't got a single malady. You just want to get drunk. And just say that. It's a bit of that box. You supposed to took a sip. You done drunk the whole sip. Talking about you want a gin and tonic. Get out of here. John 8:44. You above your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and the foe not of the truth, because there is no truth in him. And when he speak a lie, he speak of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convince me of a sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. You therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elohim. Oh Lord. That's a strong one. Now he say he that hear the reproof of life, they're gonna abide among the wise. That's what we're looking at, right? Which takes us back to to prove that you become prudent when you take heed to your father's instructions. That's verse 5 of the very same chapter of Proverbs that we're dealing with. But let's swing over here to Romans chapter 10. Matter of fact, my apologies. Matthew 22 first. That's my bad. Well, I'm in the right spot. Here we go. Matthew chapter 22. We look at verse 2. Bird. Come here. Have you completed your food? Have you finished? Hurry up and finish so you can get back in your chair. The king, which made a marriage for his son. He sent forth his servants to call them, and they were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. And he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready coming to the marriage. But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, one to his merchandise. Look at it. They heard that word. They thought it was a joke. Let's look at make light of. I just want the Greek definition. Of course, I know y'all know what it is. I'm not insulting your intelligence. I know regards. I just like to see what it translates to in Greek. That's all. Shalom, yo. Shalom, man. They made light of. The word is amelio, to be careless of and to neglect. They neglected the word. Now, why is that important? Ask yourself, when the word comes, are you taking it lightly? Are you neglecting it? Are you putting it off till later, and are you not taking it seriously? Because that's what a lot of people do. They don't take it seriously. They think it's a joke. And that's your business, you feel me? Ain't got nothing to do with that. But you know you're going to answer to Yahuwah, right? You know when you close your eyes and you open them again, you're going to be standing in front of Yahuwah. You know that, right? Right in front of the Lamb. You're going to be looking at him in the face. Less than. You can drop down to, no. Pardon me. Verse 6. Was wroth and sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Then he saith to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Oh, Lord. Go you therefore to the highways, and as many as you shall find, bid them to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways, gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw their man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how come you hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then he said to the king's servants, Bind him hand and foot, take him away, cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called. Hey. Few are chosen. Many called, few are chosen. Before we read Romans 10, come on here to Ephesians chapter. See, I'm working this out to the Proverbs 15 and 31. So bear with me. A lot of people get called to hear the word. Very few are chosen to be saved, though. And there's no reason at all why some people shall be saved and others will not, because Yahuwah choose who he want to choose. I ask y'all the same question. Give me 3. I got 5 men off the top, excluding the Lord. Excluding the Lord. Give me 3. 5 men chosen by Yahuwah from the womb. I got 5 men off the top, but you can give me 3. 5 men off the top, but you can give me 3. You could place them here, who was chosen before they were born. 5 men, but you can give me 3. He had no father or mother, so he don't count. You got to name all 3, Kira. 1 is insufficient. That'll get your test thrown out. Oh, that's a good answer there for you. That's a good answer for you there, Trina. Yeah. That's a good answer there for you, there, Stanley. That's 2, Kira. Your test still gonna get thrown out. Cause you know. There you go. Those 3 are on point. Anybody else? Now, with your last one, with David and Noah, then you can say that there, but you can't read in the text where they were called from the womb with David and Noah. You can't read that in the text with them. But Jeremiah, Solomon, Isaac, you can read about them before they were born, of what they were chosen for. And then Kira added Samuel. With Moses, you don't read what he was chosen for. It just said he was a goodly child. You don't have that one from the room. But your other two are on point. And Akisha, your one with Jeremiah is on point. So I need two more from you each, and I need one more from you, Don. I need one more. I need one more. Kira's on there. Stanley got his. Trina got hers. Because I don't get me wrong now. Moses, Noah, and David were chosen, but the text doesn't state how they were chosen before they were born. See, with Daniel, it don't state that he was chosen before he was born either. Like with Jeremiah, it states that Yahuwah told him, before you were formed in the belly, I knew you and sanctified you as a prophet of the nations. You know that Isaac, your seed shall be called. Isaac was called from the womb. Where Samuel, there you go. Samson's on point. Samson's on point. John the Baptist, of course, you know that he was chosen to do what he did before the womb. And you can read that in Luke chapter 1. With that, with Jeremiah, that's Jeremiah chapter 1. With Isaac, that's Genesis 15 and Genesis 21. With Samuel, that's First Samuel chapter 1 and chapter 2. With Jacob, clearly that's Genesis chapter 25. Let me see. With Solomon, that's in I think that's second Samuel 12 or 13, because he had told David that Solomon would sit on the throne. But Solomon wasn't, according to the passing down of the throne, it was supposed to go to Adonai. It wasn't supposed to go to Solomon. You know what I'm saying? But Yahuwah made mention of Solomon getting that from the womb. Y'all did well. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You did very well. You did very, very, very well, to say the least. Why do I mention all of that? Ephesians chapter 1. Because all these men had something in common. When Isaac heard the word from Abraham, he followed it. When Samuel got the word from Yahuwah, he followed it. When Jeremiah heard the word from Yahuwah, he followed it. When John came by the word from the Ruach, John was born with the Ruach HaKodesh in the womb, he followed it. Samson did what Yahuwah sanctified him to do from the womb. So why is that important? Ephesians chapter 1. Then Romans chapter 10. I care not to talk to you at this time. Feet on the ground, get your hands out your mouth, lift your head up, and sit up straight. Okay, just look in the bed. I got some more. Come on. Excuse me? Get up. Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 3. Okay, but it's not good to say. Baruch be Elohim, Abba, our Lord, Yahushua HaMashiach. This is Ephesians 1 and 3. Who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in Mashiach, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be Kadash and without blame before him in love, having predesignated us unto the adoption of sons by Yahushua HaMashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. That was his good pleasure to do so. You know what he tells you, you know, we thank Father, Elohim for you always, for the belief of the truth and the sanctification. He said, because from the beginning to the belief of the truth and the sanctification of the spirit. That's why he told Jeremiah, I've sanctified you and ordained you a prophet unto the nations. This spirit had been set apart for the hearing of word from the foundation of the world. So some people are going to be more inclined to hear the reproof of life, to abide among the wise than others. Romans chapter 10. And we're going to look at what that reproof of life is, because it's important to look at what is this reproof of life. Because he said, as many as he loves, he chastens. So what is this reproof of life? Because this reproof gives life. Without this reproof, there is no life. And for those of you who are sharp as a sword, y'all already know what the reproof of life is. And if you'd like to share it here today, by all means, do so. I think I still got to go to the gym when it's over with, because the day's not over. 10 and 4, Romans 10 and 4. For Mashiach is the purpose of Torah, for righteousness to everyone that believes. For Moses described the righteousness which is of Torah, that the man which do these things shall live by them. But the righteousness which is of faith speak on this wise. Say not in your heart, who shall ascend into Shamahim, that is to bring Mashiach down from above. Who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up Mashiach from the dead. But what say it? The word is near you, even in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. That if you shall confess with your mouth the Lord Yahushua and shall believe in your heart that Elohim raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. For with the heart man believe unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. See, that's the key component where people mix up. You got to believe it in the heart. See, that's how you can. See, you can say it out your mouth, but you don't believe it in your heart, and then it shows in your conduct. It shows in the manifestation of your faith. As it says in another place in Proverbs, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. A lot of people face some adversity and they fall out. Faith will weak. Neither here nor there. So when we look at this reproof of life, and we look at that particular matter, who can tell me what that reproof is? Who knows what the reproof is? Can anybody tell me what the reproof is? I'd like for somebody to tell me what the reproof is. Who can tell me what the reproof is? Because it says the ear. Remember, he that have ear, let him hear. So the person who has not ear is Ozim, which is Aleph, Zayin, and Nun. And you can put that together however you wish, because I'm not going to focus on that right now. I'm leaning towards doing it, but I'm going to let that live. Reproof. The word, you say the reproof of life is the word. And I can see why you would say that. I would see why you would say that. And because you said that, Proverbs chapter 6, verse 20, and that's not a wrong answer per se. Not the answer I'm looking for, but that is not a wrong answer. I just want to make sure that that's cool. That's not a wrong answer. Proverbs 6 and 20. Definitely not a wrong answer. Who knows what the reproof of life is? Who can tell me? Anybody want to roll a dice, take a chance, spin the wheel? Let's take a deal. I'll read you Proverbs 6 and 20 though. My son, keep your Abba's commandment and forsake not the Torah of your mother. Tie them continually upon your heart and tie them about your neck. When you go, it shall lead you. When you sleep, it shall keep you. When you awake, it shall talk with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the Torah is light, and the reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Oh my, that's a lot of stuff. The reproof of instruction is the way of life. Who can tell me what the reproof is? Who got something for me? Who can tell me what the reproof is? I feel like somebody on here can tell me what the reproof is, and I'm waiting to see who it is. I am very confident that somebody can tell me what the reproof is. That's just me. I'm confident in that. And I know that somebody is going to validate my confidence. You say faith and obedience? Correction of your wrong ways. You say Torah? This is what I want you to do before I read it. I want one of you to look up the word reproof. And I want you to put that definition right there. Hold on there. I want somebody to look up the word reproof. And I want somebody else to go to Proverbs chapter 6. And I want you to look up the word for correction or instruction. And I want you to put just the definition there. I want somebody to look at, you can look at Proverbs 6 because the same word for reproof, and Proverbs 15 and 31 word for reproof, and Proverbs 6 and 23. And I want you to tell me what them words means. I want somebody to post me this definition of reproof, and I want somebody to post me the definition of instruction for everybody on here to see. I know I can say it out loud, but I just want them so they can see it with their own eyes before we actually read it. A rebuke and a reproof. Yes, sir. Correction, a punishment, a chastisement. Now, who could tell me what the word for instruction means? Y'all should know that off the top, because that's Musar. You should know that off the top. Y'all, in Revelation 3, as many as I love, I chasten. Now, there's this made mention, not the resurrection part coming later, but the reproof and the instruction of life is the state. Yeah, I want you to come to Matthew chapter 1. Yeah, the resurrection gonna come with, there you go, discipline, correction. Now the resurrection come later. I want you to look at that. I want you to understand. It says the ear that hear the reproof of life abides or dwells among the wise. Remember, he that have an ear, let him hear. That's why we spent time looking at all of that, focusing on all of that. He that have an ear, let him hear. So he that has faith. So he that has an ear is going to hear the rebuke, the chastisement, the correction. Hold on for a second. You're going to hear the impeachment, the correction, the rebuke, the chastisement. Before what I mentioned, I was going to Matthew chapter 1. Let's take a look. No, not Matthew 1. Not Matthew 1. I think it's Mark 1 that I need. It's Mark 1 that I need. Okay. Get it right then and keep it tight. That's what I'm talking about. Praise the Lamb. Try to attack T-Mobile, try to send you 500 cash. The lies they tell. Mark chapter 1, verse 9. The lies they tell. You hear me? And it came to pass in those days that Yahushua came from Nazareth of Galilee and was immersed of John in Jordan. And straightway coming up out of the water, he saw the Shamahin open and a ruah like a dove descending upon him. There came a voice from Shamahin saying, "You are my beloved son," and with the wild beasts, and the Malachim ministered unto him. Now, after that John was put in prison, Yahushua came into Galilee, preaching the Basar of the kingdom of Elohim. The time was fulfilled, and the kingdom of Elohim is at hand. Repent you and believe the gospel, the good news, the Basar. Believe it. Believe it. Believe it. Remember, he said he didn't come to save those that are whole, but those that need a physician. That's who he came to heal. But in order for them to be healed, they had to be rebuked and they had to be chastened. And he had to reach the reign of Elohim. How was that reign being brought in? And that's why you don't necessarily have the burial, but you have that impediment. Son, I want you to come over here to Isaiah 45. I want you to come to Isaiah 45. I want you to look at, I'm in the wrong verse place because it's Isaiah 44 and not 45. 44 and 24. 44. And it says, Isaiah 44 and 24. Thus saith Yahuwah, your Redeemer, he that formed you from the womb. I am Yahuwah that make all things, that stretch forth the Shamahims alone, that spread abroad the earth by myself. I want you to look at it now. Notice that he said, your Redeemer. So who is he speaking to? He's speaking to those who were chosen in him from the foundation of the world. Let that be known. Yahuwah willing on the Shabbat, we very well may dive into that more definitely, but I don't believe that it's a need to because y'all are versed enough on the matter. Well, most of you. But if it's somebody who doesn't feel like they're versed enough in the matter of understanding how that relates to the beast, let that be known. And then I will make sure that we give enough information for you to get a good, strong understanding in that regard. And make diviners mad that turn wise men backwards and make their knowledge foolish. That conform the word of his servant and perform the counsel of his messengers. That saith to Jerusalem, you shall be inhabited, and to the cities of Yehuda you shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof, and that Say to the deep, be dry, and I will dry up the rivers. Thus saith Osiris. Okay. That saith Osiris, he is my shepherd and shall perform all my pleasure. Even saying to Jerusalem, you shall be built, and to the temple, your foundation shall be laid. No, I got you. It's not going to be today. It'll be on the Sabbath. God willing. Now I want you to look at Cyrus. The name Cyrus is Koresh. It means possess you the furnace. Possess the furnace. Isaiah 48. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Isaiah chapter 48, verse 5. From Isaiah 48 to Matthew chapter 2. I, even from the beginning, declared it to you. Before it came to pass, I showed it to you. Lest you should say, my idol have done them. My graven image, my molten image have commanded them. You have heard that you did not know them. They are created now and not for the beginning, even before the day when you heard them not, lest you should say, behold, I knew them. Yea, you heard not. Yea, you know not. Yea, from that time that your ear was not open, for I knew that you would deal very treacherously and was called a transgressor from the womb. See, this is another thing too, right? Because I see a lot of black people now, that's what they own. They ancestors and all this here. Nigga talking to dead niggas. Well, if your ancestors and all that, why they ain't telling you stuff before it happened? You ain't getting nothing beneficial of things in the future from these dead niggas you talking to? That to be the crazy part. If somebody will mock you because you say you hear the voice of Elohim, and this nigga say he talking to dead niggas. Niggas who was wicked as the day is long while they were under the sun. And I'm supposed to take you shit. And what I do specifically for his chastity more than anything. Because they'll reject anything that's of Yahuwah and cleave unto lies and stupidity. Y'all have mercy on our soul. As a collective. Because this people has lost their mind and went mad and backwards. All because you hate structure or discipline and rules. All because you want to do what you want to do. So you'll create and craft anything that you can in order to justify yourself in your own mind. Now, how sad is that? See, our people don't like to hear that conversation. Because you want to say you want to control me and this, that, and the third. Ain't nobody trying to control you. You have a standard to meet. If you don't want to meet it, that's your business. But just know that you can't escape the consequences of said standard because you will not. And if you want to create delusions and fallacies of idol gods that you've created in your own mind after your own image, then be sure that you shall pay the price. Because Yahuwah said, have no other gods before me. I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim. What type of God got jealousy and emotions? Get your ignoramus behind up out of here and you jealous of every nigga you see. Shut up, nigga, you sound stupid. Type of man gonna create all things and give his esteem to another and sit back and be cool with it. What type of man you think gonna be cool with his wife fooling with another man? Ain't nobody but a simp. You got Yahuwah all messed up and bent out of shape. If you think he around here simping like the niggas you like, the niggas you hang with. This man ain't no buster or no sucker. You know what I'm saying? He's not. And if you think that he is, that say more about you than it do about him. Remember, he ain't like you. He don't think like you. He don't move like you. Why them people made that dumb song talking about what if God was one of us? He was never one of us. He became like one of us, but he wasn't one of us because he wouldn't defile himself in the fashion that we would. Nevertheless, he said, you heard not, yea, you knew not, yea, from the time that your ear was not opened, for I knew that you would deal very treacherously and was called a transgressor from the womb. For my name's sake will I defer my anger, and for my praise I will refrain for you, that I cut you not off. You see that right there? Praise you. That man say for his name's sake, he'll defer his anger. And for his praise, he'll refrain to not cut you off. But you can't respect that type of mercy because you feel you entitled to it. Because you feel if he's such a loving God, no, you got this man all messed up. He said, I ain't gonna do what I said I was gonna do, because that's the type of man that I am. I'm gonna give you an opportunity. But don't sit back here and think you can play with me and think I'm gonna be cool with it. Because at the end of the day, you hate rules, you hate structure, you hate order, you hate discipline, you hate counsel. You know what I'm saying? You hate it. Because all of these things have one thing in common. They stop you from doing what you want to do. See, when you have to deal with these rules, you have to deal with this order, and you have to deal with the structure, and you have to deal with the council, you have to move within the framework of what someone else has created for you. You don't realize that these orders, this order, this rule, these rules, this structure, this counsel, this correction is for your benefit. Because you so stuck in your pride and your desires that you feel like you're smarter than your Elohim. That's why he said, I'll give you over to your desires and see what your end is. Since that's what you lust for so bad, since you lust for any and everything other than Yahuwah, he lets you have it. And let me see how it goes for you. Tell me about it later. When I'm burning your stupid behind up and the worms eating at you and they never die. Tell me about it then. You don't want to talk about it before. But you know, it's too late. You don't want to talk. No more talk. Because when the gospel was coming, he was talking then, and you rejected it. Nevertheless, behold, I have refined you, but not with silver. I have chosen you in the furnace of affliction. For my own sake, even for my own sake, will I do it. But how shall my name be polluted? I will not give my esteem to another. That's what you don't realize. You think that man gonna let his name be sour out here in the streets because of you? See, most of you don't care about dishonoring your family name. Some of y'all women been dishonoring your family name since the day you were born, being rebellious and disobedient and whorish and promiscuous. You didn't care about dishonoring your family. You know what I'm saying? You didn't care if you submitted to your father's authority. You didn't care about that. Some of these men didn't care. Being foolish, not taking the instruction that your father gave you. You didn't want to take heed to the counsel that he gave, dishonoring the family name. You didn't care. And that's what we've been doing with Yahuwah the whole time. Dishonoring the family name. And you don't care. But he cares. And that's why he did what he did right here in Matthew chapter 20. Praise the Lord. You know, give thanks to the Father in the name of Yahushua. Because if not, you still be polluted in your sins. But you don't really see it because you don't really care. 20 and 20. People don't be caring. See, most of us ain't even been raised with the purpose of not dishonoring the family name. Not dishonoring your household. Because you think everything is about you. Your happiness and your fulfillment. Selfish bastard. You know what I'm talking about? It's about making sure the book tell you a good name is better than choice gold. It's better to have a good name than to have quote unquote happiness and fulfillment. Keep your family name good. Don't bring no shame or dishonor to it. And that family name, that's why he say, and all those that name the name of Mashal, let them depart from iniquity. Don't dishonor the family name. Matthew 20 and 20. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's sons and with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, what will you? And she said unto him, grant that these my two sons may sit the one on your right hand and the other on the left in your kingdom. And Yahushua answered and said, you know not what you ask. Are you able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of and be immersed with the immersion that I am immersed with? And they say unto him, we are able. So the reproofs of life, which of course on the Shabbat we're going to delve into in a lot more detail. The reproofs of life are the chastity. Come over here to Hebrews chapter 12. What is the chastity? For Hebrews 12 to Luke 9. Matter of fact, from Hebrews 12 to 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 14. Then to dang what I said 9. It wasn't Hebrews 9 to say. I know that's what I said. It's Hebrews 12 and 4 that I want. It's Luke 9. If I say Hebrews 9, my apologies. I feel like I just said Hebrews 9, but it's Luke 9. We're going to look at Hebrews 12 and 4. Then we're going to go to 2 Timothy 3 and 14. And then we're going to go to Luke chapter 9 and about verse. We'll get ready to wrap this up for the night. Setting the stage. Y'all already know where to go for what to do for Wednesdays. Just set the stage. Set the plate, if you will. Hebrews 12 and 4. You have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Matter of fact, let's back that up to verse 2. Looking unto Yahushua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the stake, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne. Go back to what you asked about earlier, Marquise. Remember, he said, that he declared that you'd be a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Matter of fact, let me just read it because I feel like I'm not going to say something. I'm going to leave something out. I don't want to leave anything out. Right here in verse 1 of Psalms 110, Yahuwah said unto my Lord, sit you at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Well, a lot of people say he's going to make my enemies. He ain't talking to you. He's talking to his son when he said that. For consider him that endured such a contradiction of sinners against himself, that you be weary and faint in your minds. You have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. You have forgotten the exhortation which speak unto you as unto children. My son, despise not Yahuwah, nor faint when you are rebuked of him. For whom Yahuwah loved, he chastened and scourged every son whom he received. Remember, he said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Remember, he got immersed from the get-go. The immersion pointing to his death, pointing to the crucifixion, his impalement. However you want to describe it, we all know what happened. They took nails and they rammed it in his flesh until he died. If you endure chastening, Elohim deal with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chastened not? See, when you hear this reproof of life, this is how you abide among the wise. Let's continue. But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then you are bastards and not sons. Don't be a bastard. Crucify yourself. Mortify your members. Don't be a bastard. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 14. Don't grow up and be a bastard. Because if you're a bastard, it means you're illegitimate. You ain't a part of the family. You don't want to crucify your flesh, then you a bastard. You ain't a part of the family. That's your choice to make. You choosing to reject an opportunity to be a part of the family of Yahuwah has no bearing upon me. I ain't gonna lose not damn moment of sleep behind it. Because you opposing yourself. All I can do is pray that Yahuwah turn you from the clutches of Hashatan and from opposing yourself. Niggas thinking they really be hurting Yahuwah because they don't want to follow him. Nevertheless. 2 Timothy verse 12. 2 Timothy 3 and 12. Yea, all that will live godly in Mashiach Yahushua shall suffer persecution. Evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue in the things which you have learned and have been assured of knowing of whom you have learned them. And from a child you have known the Kadash scriptures, which are able to make you wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Mashiach Yahushua. All scripture is given by inspiration of Elohim and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto good work. Notice that what it said, the things that it kept mentioning, because we know in instruction in Hebrew is going to translate to discipline and correction again. So you notice that it say that the scripture is for reproof, for correction, and instruction, or the discipline of righteousness. That's what it said. What's the Greek word for instruction here? Just the Greek word. The Greek word for instruction here is padia, the whole training. What cultivates the soul? Chastisement and chastening. So even in Greek, it tell you the same thing. Instruction is the same thing. Remember, blessed and those who you chasten out of your Torah. So think about that. So when you hear the reproof of life, you hear the sacrifice of Mashiach. And because you hear it, you believe it. And because you believe it, you confess it. And because you confess it, you live it. And therefore, this is how you're well amongst the wise. But let's go back over here to Luke chapter 9. And we'll stop right here at Luke 9 for the evening. You will continue on Shabbat. If any of you want to know, this just hit my mind, I need to say it before I forget it. What day that we're keeping the feast, and you would like to know that, I think you can send messages on YouTube, things of that nature, I believe. Send one. I'll send you the dates that we have. Because if I type them here and then it goes off, you may not be able to see it later. So, just send a message. Marquise, I could text you. yours, so you don't have to send a message or do any of that. I should have sent that, but I forgot. That's my fault. Yeah, get them there and whatever. But Luke chapter 9 and verse 20. He said unto them, but whom say you that I am? Peter answering said, the anointed of Elohim. He straightly charged them and commanded them that they tell no man that thing, saying, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be slain and be raised the third day. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake daily and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. For what is a man advantage if he gain the whole world and lose himself or be cast away? Whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he shall come in his own esteem and in his Abbas and in the Kadash Malachim. That's what a lot of people look at for Yahusha and the word. I appreciate everybody's time. Bless everybody at the house of Yahuwah, name of Yahusha. Yahuwah willing, we'll continue down this road on the Shabbat. But as you can see, that discipline and correction is the only way for life to be gained. Discipline and correction are probably the one things that people despise and hate in this life, because discipline reins you in. Correction shows you where you're wrong. Your pride is what doesn't allow you to receive the discipline and correction. You know, if you were raised to be disciplined, blessed be you. Because usually when you're raised to be disciplined, you can handle correction a lot easier than someone who does not. When you're raised to be disciplined, you usually have a lot more praise, a lot more ability to have self-control, because discipline to a certain extent is self-control. Discipline in the context of what is being used here is for the moderation and correction of your behavior. That's why he tell you not to despise the chastening. Don't despise being corrected. Don't be despised to say it's someone telling you this is not the way that you should go this way. Because this is, see, I told y'all this before, as a man, you have to have foresight. It's like when we were talking about that with playing chess, you gotta have foresight. You have to see just. You have to see, you have to be 4 or 5 moves ahead. You have to constantly be thinking and having the ability to see things before they happen. Of course, we know in life that there are things that have happened that you cannot see or plan for, because that's Yahuwah's will. Just in general, as a man, that's how you have to think. You have to understand the ramifications of choices and how they can be magnified over time and how they can affect those under your charge. Can't be whimsical. You have to be clean. Just ask yourself this, and it doesn't matter who it is. But if somebody came and asked you, what is your plan and what it is that you're doing, and that if you can't really on the spot explain that to them in full detail, that means you didn't really plan and think that out. See, do I know what I'm finna say? Because it comes from a movie, because you say it all the time. I don't say it as often. But it's a true story. Lack of proper planning leads to piss poor performance. You know what I'm saying? We don't properly plan for things, you can't, that your execution is usually going to be piss poor. When you have strategically planned and you can understand why you're doing it and where you're going and how you're going to get there, your performance will be extremely stronger. Because Yahusha already had proper planning by way of this being slain by the foundation of the world, and his Abba and Shamahim laying the whole play out. His execution was flawless. That's why when we sit back and you look at the ear that hear reproof, the reproof of life abide among the wise, because you hear the reproof or the chastisement of Yahusha, that correction, of which of course we'll grab a few things here and there. Y'all willing on Shabbat. You see the benefit of the plan and the life that came from the plan, because that's what we were talking about last week. Like, when people chastise you, and you couldn't see or understand why they were telling you what they were telling you until you got older, and then you appreciate it. It didn't make sense to you. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put foolish things away. Because once you begin to experience things in life and you will begin to understand why people told you what they told you. But when you're immature and you're inexperienced, you don't understand those things. You think someone's trying to blunt what you're trying to do or what you desire to do. And you don't understand they really had your best interests at heart and they were trying to shield you from calamity. See, Yahuwah has your best interests at heart. He knows sin will be your calamity. He's trying to shield you from it. But you don't want to take the discipline. You don't want to listen because you think you know more than him. You're not understanding his thoughts are not your thoughts. His ways are not your ways. I mentioned that and I didn't get to that verse again. Who will, I will, because there's another verse somewhere else that I'm going to apply. You all you who will, this is too much word be going through my head, man. Let me get off here, man. I've been to talk to y'all all night. But blessings again out the house of y'all name of Yahushua. You who are willing to the next time.